If you want to check out snippets from my own cartoony sci-fi comic series, Smacked in the Head the Animated Series, hopefully crowdfunding soon, there's a link in the description below.
While across the desert, there waits the enigma of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The boy is safe. Lawlers cannot hide his distaste for me given my connection to the child's father. Peru, however, is clearly smitten with the infant, but my presence is not welcome in their house. That's fine. I'll watch over the child from a distance. I will build a shelter across the Dune Sea from the Lars homestead, close enough for me to sense any danger to the boy, far enough away that the Empire may not discover him if they find me. But for now, I feel old beyond my years. Desert life ages flesh and spirit, so I can only expect this to worsen the longer I remain on this world. The Tatooine storms will whip me with sands like a scourge. The boy is our last hope. I failed Anakin, but I'll not fail Luke. The son of Skywalker must become a Jedi.
Well, the Kenobi show is happening. I'm not falling for it. My past experience with these shows is 1 decent episode and 7 of filler, whether it be Marvel or Star Wars. When the Solo movie came out, I knew flat out that I was gonna hate it, especially after the death knell that was The Last Jedi. I never want to see any other actor as Han Solo, and we were in full-blown heights of Hollywood lunatic. So instead of watching it, I decided to read the Han Solo Trilogy by A.C. Crispin, which intertwined itself with the original Han Solo Trilogy written years before by Gone Too Soon from Us, Brian Daley, which I still have to read. It was a 98% wonderful experience that fleshed out Han and gave him a history. I have a slight issue with the ending, but it's infinitely better than Solo. If in nothing else, his name wasn't given to him by the Empire. Anywho, I did a similar thing when the Mandalorian show came out, where I started the Bounty Hunter Wars by K.W. Jeter. What's with all the initials? To date, I have only finished the first one on daily commutes. The pacing isn't up to my preferences, but a lot of interesting ideas are in there, like the Shell Huts, the Harhan, and Kudar Mubat. Man, those are hard to say out loud. And I have watched The Mandalorian, but that show is nothing to me but 5 minutes of Luke Skywalker wrecking fake Dark Troopers. I could watch that all day. I maintain since the day that George sold Star Wars, there's absolutely no story they could possibly tell that hasn't already been told better in the last 45 years of comics, books, and games. And yeah, I would probably read the novel Kenobi by John Jackson Miller before I ever watched this show. So in the same spirit of ignoring Disney's endless parade of reeking toxic waste, let's take a look at a short story published in the more innocent time of 1999 by Dark Horse Comics in their series Dark Horse Presents Luke Skywalker's Walkabout. To be fair, it's a nice poster. Is anyone else disappointed by this outfit, though? It's so bland. I heard someone the other day refer to Star Wars as the missed opportunity franchise. That statement has been accurate for years upon years at this point. I'm honestly baffled by some of the choices George did and didn't make with this franchise, such as a cartoon series actually featuring the original heroes. And it's honestly criminal if they don't use the Kenobi outfit from the Sideshow Collectibles Mythos series, at least in a small portion for the show. Look at this statue! I lost my shit when I saw this. Incredible! And yes, I know you guys love Ewan as Obi-Wan. I do too, even though I think George did a horrendous job of accurately representing the character between the two trilogies, but this statue is amazing. And most importantly, it comes with a freaking Alec Guinness head. When I was a kid, I stared at this trading card from the Star Wars Galaxy sets and had a very dumb moment, as I couldn't fathom how someone could create a young likeness of Alec Guinness. So yeah, this statue represents in my brain the real canon of Star Wars that has a coherent, problem-free story that utilizes all the original actors that exist somewhere out there in the ether. Our story comes to us today from Luke Skywalker, Last Hope for the Galaxy. Luke Skywalker's greatest adventures from over 30 years of comics are compiled in a single slipcase hardcover, a deluxe edition worthy of the hero who saved the galaxy. This massive volume follows Luke Skywalker on his journey from the moisture farms of Tatooine to the final days of the Dark Empire. Each story is painstakingly selected from every Luke Skywalker comic ever published, from Marvel's first issue to Dark Horse's latest. This masterpiece collection is the ultimate portrait of one of the most widely known and widely loved heroes of modern mythology. Disney. Dark Horse built a significant portion of the Star Wars expanded universe in its own right in the 30 or so years that they had the license. working closely with the creatives and writers of the novels. It's gotta be the biggest punch in the to lose all of that to Disney because of George's lack of vetting the pack of wolves he was throwing this universe to. My love-hate of George is strong. I will never understand that man. Anyway, this book is gorgeous and perfectly titled, and our story today is republished within this beautiful volume, this time in full color, along with some misspelling mistakes corrected. Here are our list of comic slaves, and a brief history on where the story came from. Based on the original radio dramas of 1981, there are very slight variations between the two, but I highly recommend that you go listen to it. It fills in a lot of side information and details you don't get from the movie, and it's a very enjoyable experience. It's like experiencing the film again for the first time, as a friend of mine described it. So let's get into it. Star Wars, Luke Skywalker's Walkabout.
And you have met him, son? Well, in a way. About 5 seasons ago.
Our story starts with Luke reminiscing about the time he and his friend Windy, appropriately named as it'll turn out, head out into the desert on Luke's young dewback named Huey.
My friend Windy and I rode out this way on a dewback once.
After being called Small Fry.
We wanted to get out on our own for a while. But we were bored. We wanted to let off a little steam.
The winds begin kicking up and Windy tells Luke to relax, that the weather didn't show anything about a sand swirl. The pair argue over which direction to take as Luke delivers that famous line from the trilogy.
Uh-oh.
In the distance, a level 7 sand swirl coming in fast. The boys are in trouble. Meanwhile, at a nondescript hut somewhere beyond the Dune Sea, a strange old hermit sits sipping his tea listening to a radio broadcast. Repeat, any information on 2 boys riding a dewback, last seen heading toward Jaw Marrow Ridge. Would have made a different choice narratively there. The idea of an APB seems a little weird for Star Wars. The names of the missing boys are Wyndham Starkiller and Luke Skywalker. They never changed Luke's last name to keep him safe? Huh.
The dewback threw us off in one of the canyons and ran away.
But Huey catches a smell on the winds that he doesn't like and hurls the boys to the sandy floor. Poor Huey. Just a baby. Oh, baby Huey? Is that why they named him that? The boys argue with each other, placing blame, and Luke starts buttoning up to go find Huey. Dang, man, why didn't they make an action figure of this Luke? He looks awesome! I dig the outfit and the scarf and goggles, and Hasbro was all about making comic figure 2-packs back in the day. On second thought, a lot of those figures were poorly made and they would probably screw it up. Luckily, they find him fast, terrified and shaking like a manifold on an old C2 unit. Ha! We all know those C2 units, am I right?
Spook. There were a lot of weird sounds.
Then they hear it. A great dragon! I love the lighting on this guy. Luke springs into action to defend his best friend, Huey, not Windy. F that guy, apparently. Luke mentions if he didn't have Huey, he'd be talking to Treadwells. Hey, that's cool, another reference to the radio drama, and also the deleted scenes from the first movie. Man, Star Wars used to be so good. He fires off some shots at the Great Dragon's head and throws a rifle at Windy, who promptly runs away. Okay, yeah, no, F that guy. Luke holds his ground as the Great Dragon bears down, getting madder with every shot he takes. Suddenly, Luke is knocked from the dewback under mysterious circumstances and poor Huey meets his grisly head. The Great Dragon ignores the small fry Luke Skywalker, and he goes off after Windy, who he finds huddled crying and blubbering in a cave.
And then when it got dark, we still hadn't found our way out.
Huey apparently wasn't much of a meal, and the Great Dragon comes sniffing around for the boys once more, smashing its head into the canyon wall looking for them. Things are grim when suddenly they hear another sound in the distance which draws the creature's attention away and puts it to sleep? Luke thinks his eyes are playing tricks on him as the monster snoozes, and he tries to get Windy back on his feet.
Then we heard a voice off to one side. A voice? It called my name.
They describe Windy as a follower with no real personality of his own in the radio drama, but he sure is doing a whole lot of nothing in this. Maybe this whole thing is just Windy's origin story as a guy that learns not to take risks or do anything crazy. Windy keeps whining as a hooded figure appears at the entrance.
It was Ben Kenobi.
Ben tells them he doesn't have much time to get them home, and the trio head out into the sand swirl. And dang it, man, I really want an awesome flashlight staff now. Suddenly the winds died down, and Ben tells them that they've entered the eye of the storm, and that if they keep a quick pace, they can travel with it.
He told us a lot about what it was like to live out in the barren lands all alone.
Apparently a quick pace is too much for Windy, who I'm starting to hate, and Ben has to carry him. Luke looks depressed, and Ben asks him if he's okay. He says he regrets getting his friend Huey killed because he wanted to prove he wasn't a small fry. Ben tells him he's learned a valuable lesson, and the way the writing tries to hint at Ben giving Luke a subtle lesson about the Force here is awesome.
Somehow Ben found us and guided us back to the farm.
The next day they reach the Lars homestead, and Luke is absolutely certain that they're gonna be dead meat. But a funny thing happens.
But you know, a funny thing happened. When Ben took us back, Uncle Owen got real mad, and not at Wendy and me, but at Ben.
Uncle Owen grabs Ben by the arm and drags him away as Ben turns back around to give Luke one last look.
Ben was looking at me kind of funny, like he wanted to say something. You were Ben off our farm and warned him not to come back.
Aunt Beru yells at Owen saying that Ben just saved Luke's life. So did I, Beru. So did I.
If I didn't know him better, I'd have said he was scared right then.
And that's it. Cue the credits. There's your Obi-Wan show. The APB is dumb and less magically Star Wars. I would have maybe just had it so Ben senses Luke is in danger with the Force and goes after him, or maybe Ben is already standing on like a cliff in the distance keeping an eye on him. I guess that's called stalking. Anyway, so is there anything to take away from this comic to apply to my own comic? Nothing really jumped out at me art-wise other than the lighting on the Krayt Dragon. Overall, I like the art, and since my comic seems never-ending, I do enjoy the idea of like a short 5-page comic story with a clean ending. Maybe I'll give that a try sometime in the future. And that's all I got. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.
Uncle Owen won't take this very well.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.